CQ RAYNET, CQ. This is Golf 4 November Romeo Charlie, operated today by Greg, Golf 0 Delta Uniform Bravo. Ting is net control for the RAYNET-UK weekly activity net. This net meets each Sunday afternoon at 1600 hours local time and is open to all amateur radio operators interested in emergency communications. The primary purpose of the net is to provide the opportunity for members to test equipment, exchange traffic news, opinions and information. Additional information can be found at www.raynet-uk.net. This is a directed net, which means all calls are to be made to the net control station, or unless you're instructed otherwise, and all RAYNET UK operators are invited and encouraged to check into the net. When checking in, please announce your call sign slowly and phonetically, followed by your name. If you wish to leave the net immediately, then call in and out. If you wish to leave after subsequent turns, then please make it clear you want to check out at that time. After I've heard a few check-ins, I'll repeat what I've heard. If you're not acknowledged, then please do try again. And if you miss your turn in the call sign order that we use for checking people in, then I will call for any strays at the end of the UK and the international section. So I'll now begin taking check-ins for the RAYNET UK weekly activity net, as usual in call sign number order, starting with stations with figure 8. Figure 8 in their call sign, please call now. G4 and RC, over.
Golf 8, Echo Yankee, G8 EEY, name is Mike.
G4 and RC, I've got Bob, Golf 8 Sierra Delta Uniform, who was just a blip, so Bob will come back to you and find out if he's staying with us. And I've got Mike, Golf 8 Echo Yankee. So first of all, Golf 8 Sierra Delta Uniform, you're staying with me for the net, over.
G8SDU, yes, okay, Greg. Yeah, only just managed to catch hold of you. Just in and out, thank you.
G4 and RC, acknowledged in and out. Good afternoon to you, Bob. So Mike's acknowledged. Any other rates, please? G4 and RC, over.
Golf 8 Kilo Lima Charlie. G8 KLC, definitely doubled. G8 KLC, in and out, Greg, where I listen for church notices from G8 KLC.
G8 KLC, G4 and RC, copied in and out. And yes, I got your email. I was going to do the mayor culpa on the net, but I'll send you an email later when I catch up on other things, Phil. Okay, let's move out of 8 into 7. Stations figure 7 in that call sign, please go ahead. G4 and RC, over.
CO Mobile, in and out. Good afternoon, Greg.
G4 and RC, let's unpick another double. G7 CIY Mobile, good afternoon, Keith. Copied you in and out. G7 NEH, you'd like to try again? I think you doubled, over.
Yeah, G7 NEH, Golf 7 November, Echo Hotel.
G4 and RC, that's better, proper audio that time. Thanks, Graham. Any other 7s, please? G4 and RC, over. G4 and RC, no more 7s. Let's go for 6s. Stations figure 6 in their call sign, please go ahead. G4 and RC, over. G4NRC, second go for any sixes, stations figure 6 and then call sign, please go ahead. G4NRC, over. G4NRC, then it's our 5's call, stations figure 5 in their call sign. There's not very many of them, but let's have a go. G4NRC, over. G4NRC, no 5's. I say again, stations who've missed their turn to call in according to the numbers are all called for strays at the end of the number sequence. Stations figure 4 in their call sign, please go ahead. G4NRC, over.
G4NRC, G4K UK, Trevor in Watford.
G4NRC, good afternoon, Trevor. G4KUJ, already helping me doing the logs, so any other 4's, please. G4NRC, over.
G4KIL, Philip, Sussex.
Good afternoon, Philip. Golf 4 Kilo India Lima. Let's move out of the 4's into the 3's. Stations figure 3 in their call sign, please go ahead. G4NRC, over.
Golf 3, Zulu Hotel X-Ray, Ian.
G4NRC, good afternoon, Ian. Golf 3 Zulu Hotel X-Ray. Any of the 3's, please. G4NRC, over. G4NRC, want to guess any more 3's? We'll have to come into strays. Let's go for the 2's. Stations figure 2 in their call sign. Call now. G4NRC, over.
Echo 0, Charlie Mike Sierra, calling from the Grey, in and out.
G4NRC, good afternoon, Colin, and copied you in and out to Echo 0, Charlie Mike Sierra. Any other 2's, please? G4NRC, over. G4NRC, nothing from the 2's. Let's go for 1's. Stations figure 1 in their call sign, please go ahead. G4NRC, over. G4NRC, second attempt. Any stations figure 1 in their call sign, please go ahead. G4NRC, over. G4NRC, not getting any 1's. Let's go for the rich pickings then, the 0's. Mike 0 stations, if any regional secondary identifier, please call now. G4NRC, over.
M0, JSO, East Suffolk.
Zero Whiskey X-Ray Golf, Shirley in Cornwall, in and out. Thank you, Greg.
Mike 0, India Tango Mike, Andy, also in Cornwall, Shirley, in and out. Thank you, Greg.
G4 and RC. So I've got Alan Mike 0 Juliet Sierra Alpha staying with me, Shirley Mike 0 Whiskey X-Ray Golf, and Andy Mike 0 India Tango Mike, both in and out. Good afternoon to you both. Ian Mike 0 Oscar Echo Sierra, would you just like calling again? You got doubled with yourself, I suspect. I can just have a full call from you and whether you're staying. Mike 0 Oscar Echo Sierra, G4 and RC, over. G4 and RC, nothing heard from OES, I'll have to try calling him later. Any other Mike 0 stations of any regional secondary identifier? Some of you did blip in before, so go now. G4 and RC, over. G4 and RC, nothing, going shy. So let's go for the Golf 0 stations of any regional secondary identifier, please. G4 and RC, over.
Golf 0 Oscar Zulu Sierra stroke A with M7CBX stroke A.
Golf Whiskey 0 Juliet Lima X-Ray. Name is Andy, RAYNET Pembrokeshire. Good afternoon, Greg. I do have traffic today, over.
G4 and RC, okay, that's confused me and our loggers. I'm going to call it as Mike 7 Charlie Bravo X-Ray, so Chris gets the credit because it's his call sign on there, so apologies. Trevor and I just both totally tripped up on how we were logging that one. And good afternoon to you, Andy. Golf Whiskey 0 Juliet Lima X-Ray. Any other Golf 0 stations of any regional secondary identifier, please? G4 and RC, over. G4 and RC, okay. Any other stations of any other UK stations, of any call sign number, any UK stations who missed their turn to call in, please go now. G4 and RC, over. G4 and RC, nothing heard, so let's have international liaison stations. That's usually our colleagues in Aran in Ireland, Nord Sandband in Norway, Aries in Slovakia. If they'd like to call, please go now. G4 and RC, over.
William Alpha 6 in a Mike, name is Hans, in and out.
Echo India 5, India Echo Bravo. It's Tom here, Greg. No traffic from me, so in and out.
G4 and RC, good afternoon to Hans, Lima Alpha 6 India Mike, and Tom Echo India 5 India Echo Bravo, both in and out. Final call then, any stations has missed their turn to call in of any nationality, please go now. G4 and RC, over. G4 and RC, nothing heard, so I'm going to guess Peter in Slovakia is just being a bit shy today. So, church notices after a little bit. Mandatory reminder, the net is being live streamed by Graham G7 and EH to YouTube today. The live stream and recording will be available by searching G7 and EH, that's Golf 7 November Echo Hotel, on YouTube. Just a point about checking in, do a call sign number check-in deliberately to minimise the potential for doubling, because if you just blip in on some radios or some talk groups, you do prevent other people calling in for 2 or 3 seconds, so it does slow things down a bit if people call out of sequence. To proper news, pleased to inform everybody after last week's news that registrations is back, processing paperwork. In terms of live events, Cyclone Mocha has hit Bangladesh and Myanmar, but neither country has a strong emergency communications component in the amateur service, and nothing has so far been posted on the IARU Region 3 mailing list asking for any frequencies to be kept clear. Technical notes, noting we can use encryption when requested by a user service. The other issue has been what voice modes support it. B-Star and others don't support encryption, but a project to watch might be OpenRTX, that's Open Romeo Tango X-Ray, which is a different open source firmware for a number of digital radios, but noting that this one supports the M17 mode, an amateur-developed voice mode which also supports encryption out of the box. A Raspberry Pi hat has also been announced this week by the team, which looks like it will support the mode. I'm not advocating change here, just highlighting that more options are better than one. On softer issues, for those who worry about our demographics as an organisation, some possible hope from the Charities Aid Foundation, who released their 2023 giving report, www.cafonline, that's Charlie Alpha Foxtrot online.org. While a lot of focus is on the money side, there's also data on volunteering. And the CAF report reveals that volunteering is overwhelming the preserve of elderly people. Only 6 to 7% of people aged 16 to 44 have volunteered in the past year, with just 5% of 45 to 54-year-olds, but at least 10% of those aged 65 or older, in contrast, had volunteered. So one to bear in mind when we look at our age profiles. So, what news from everybody else? First on the list is Mike, Golf 8, Echo Echo Yankee from G4 NRC, over.
G4 NRC from G8 EEY. Yes. Well, the weather's quite nice here. We always talk about the weather. 18.3 centigrade. 1,018 millibars, 63% relative humidity, 25% cloud cover, but we've still got 85% lightning risk running over today and tomorrow, following the few days during the week when we definitely got zapped. Not personally, but some things got zapped, trees probably in the vicinity. Winds 4.5 miles per hour from 301 degrees, so pretty quiet there. Interesting, I'll look up at Open RTX. We've been testing DMR encrypted, but it seems to depend on individual radios as to which version encryption they use, and that's always going to be a problem. From the point of view of age of volunteering, well, it's becoming more and more the case that anybody in the younger age bracket is almost certainly working, and companies are not so inclined to appreciate people trying to get time off to volunteer. So people are more and more inclined to have to stay at work. From G8 EEY.
Golf 8 Echo Echo Yankee, G4 and RC as usual. Thanks for the logging practice there, and the 2 typos I've managed to get in. Interesting about comments about companies not supporting employees with time for volunteering. I can't name mine, but I wouldn't anyway. We only get 1 day a year for volunteering, and this is aimed very specifically at beautification projects or vulnerable parts of the community. Nothing more general like we might be doing, because even if you do get volunteering days, they might be heavily focused. Whereas somebody, Trevor and I once knew, had got 5 days a year for volunteering, which was much more fun, and no restrictions on what he could do with it. So, thanks, Mike. OpenRTX, have a look at the webpage first. It is searchable. It's growing, hence it's just the fact that you got a Pi hat for doing M17 made me look a little harder with, oh, this could be getting some likes. Okay, next to Graham with today's viewing figures so far. G7 and the HG for an RC over. G4 and RC, G7 and the H. Good afternoon, Greg, and good afternoon to all on the net. And those watching the stream will notice that we've got mildly mug on show as well today. So there's 2 of us to look at, HI. So viewing figures last week we had in total 41 views and 5 likes. So views today at the moment, total views 11, 6 currently viewing at the moment, and 2 likes. So there we go. Not a great deal to add from this location. I know Dave M7AVO will not be on the net today. He's got family commitments, so he sends his apologies. And yeah, I just done a search for OpenRTX, and I've got the web page open to have a read later. Sounds quite interesting. So back to you, G4NRC, G7VH. G1RVA. Golf 1, Romeo Bravo Oscar. Good afternoon, Tony. We'll have to slip you in at the end of the list. Right, so, well, that's sticking through my head. Graham, thanks for the viewing figures. Heading up nicely noted, M7AVO. OpenRTX, a bit like OpenGD77, supporting a limited number of handsets at first, and looks like it might grow. Does include the hardware details of what you need to do to some of the radios, except M17 mode. And, well, it's another one on the radar. For me, it's another firmware I can put on that supposedly cheap Baofeng 1801 radio that I got to prove customs and excise wrong a while ago. So that's turning into the sacrificial lamb for if I fry it, I don't care. Right, thanks, Graham, and I'll have to see how I can get Open Broadcast Studio working here, and then I can maybe have 2 or 3 camera views, and will really confuse people. Okay, Trevor, over to you. G4 and RC to G4KUJ, over.
G4 RC, G4KUJ. Afternoon, Greg, and everybody else on the net. All signals good here, of course. Not much to report from this end. Any quiet week on the radio front. I do have one outgoing message for you on Pactor, Greg. Would you like me to leave the system on 40 litres this afternoon stroke this evening, or would you pick it up tomorrow evening? Apart from that, got your emails about R1 exercises and the dates for those. Okay, back to you, G4NRC, G4KUJ.
G4KUJ, G4NRC returning. Okay, Trevor, in technical order, that last transmission has got 2% packet loss on it, and it ended with a bit of a squawk as far as I was concerned. Yes, not forgotten, you've got one message for me on Pactor. The brief on camera, but hopefully not transmitted, me legging it out away from the camera ahead of the net, was that 10 watts of JS8 call appeared to, or something caused a blip of the internet here. So I will put the station back on, and yes, if I can pick that message up this evening, that'll be fine. The next temptation is if we get this more often, is you can always relay the message to me here on Pactor, and you can get some message handling practice. Should be a different spin. But yeah, I'll go into Pactor after this, and I've got a phone call with Graham, and then I'll pick the message up if that's okay. Right, next to Philip, Golf 4, Kilo India Lima, G4 and RC, over.
Thank you for NRC G4 KIL. Thanks very much, Greg, and thanks for the information on the Open RTX family. We'll look at that. Only things from here in Sussex, we've got our next event next Sunday during the day, and the one after that's 11th June is an overnight one. Is that 10th, 11th June or 10th, 11th, 12th? Anyway, it's a Saturday, Sunday. Okay, I'm going to say 73s now and sign out if that's okay, Greg. Thanks for running the net, and hopefully be up again next week if I'm back in time after our event. G4NRC, G4KIL out.
For KIL, G4 and RC returning. Okay, no problem, Philip. Yes, West Cheshire also has an event next Sunday, and with JSA coming up real soon. While the organisers for our half marathon next Sunday say that everybody should have completed the event by after 3 hours, which would mean a 12 o'clock finish, just in case I get stuck and can't be home for 4 o'clock for the net, which would be a really, really bad day. If JSA or anybody is available to just mind the store, but my intention is I should be back and should be on time to run the next Sunday, as long as the runners do their part of the bargain. Okay, have a good week, Philip. Enjoy your event next Sunday. Next to Ian, Golf 3, Zulu Hotel X-Ray, G4 and RC, over.
Golf 3, Zulu Hotel X-Ray, good afternoon, Greg on the net. You just caught me. I wasn't expecting you to call me just then. I was trying to look up the encryption software. Can you see, is it Romeo Tango software or Romeo Delta? Romeo Tango X-Ray or Romeo Delta X-Ray when I hand it back. Having a little experience of encryption in real life, the big problem is distributing keys. The encryption itself is generally not so difficult. Getting everybody onto the same key, and even worse, changing the key during the session can be problematic. And with that, I will now hand it back from G3ZHX.
Golf 3 Zulu Hotel X-Ray, G4 and RC. Okay, it is Open RTX Romeo Tango X-Ray. And one of the things we'll have to look at with it is in DMR there's 3 levels of encryption, as I recall. There's really basic, the enhanced one, and then the really good one you spend lots of money on with Motorola and others to get multi-bit keys. Yes, totally accept the problem is in exchanging the keys, which was why many months ago I asked, or even years ago, I asked people to share what their default keys were or what they were using for encryption, and I got answers back of, we're not telling you it's encrypted, or to the like. So yes, problem is in exchanging keys. At the minimum, when people say we can encrypt, and the basic encryption that most DMR sets should be able to do, emphasis most, is a fairly short key string. But I don't know whether OpenRTX, despite supporting M17 encrypted mode, also supports any form of DMR encryption, which is another reason for having a look at it and having a try. So yeah, totally appreciate your points about how we do it, but there's a philosophical debate I had with my local police force about what was encryption. When I asked them how many bits of encryption they wanted, they didn't really know the answer. Okay, next on my list is Alan, Mike 0, Juliet Sierra Alpha, G4 and RC, over.
Yeah, good afternoon, Greg. Good afternoon, everybody. I'll have a look in my diary for next Sunday, but I believe I will be free if necessary. We've got an overnight walk for a hospice on the Saturday, followed by a 10k road run round Woodbridge on the Sunday. But that should be done by about 2 o'clock.
so I should be able to get back in time for that. But I'll drop you an email to confirm that, because my diary is so full at the moment. In fact, I may not be here next time round, because I've got an appointment at the hospital at 10 to 5. Although apparently they're going to bring me up, so that won't be so bad. But I've just realised I've come into the shack, and I've left my phone indoors, so I'm going to have to go get that. Now, the encryption stuff, yeah, that's very vague. And as you say, there's many levels. G0 is SEM. Our group controller is going to give us a talk at our local radio club tomorrow night, all about the ins and outs of encryption. So I may know more about it after tomorrow. But one thing I did find, you can't even depend on the same make being compatible. Because I've got a Vitef Restifis, I think that's an RT51, which is a 32 channel, no display DMR, and the encryption on that doesn't work with any of the other Retrovis radios. So beware, it's just because the make is the same, it doesn't mean the encryption will work. Back to you, Greg. G4NRC, M0JSA group.
M0JSA, G4NRC. Okay, Alan. Well, if your 10k run might not finish till 2, ours should be finished, as I say, by 12, but then I have to disengage from the control, get all the stuff back downstairs and get home. It should be doable, but between the two of us, as long as one of us is online in time, we will get stuff sorted out. Noted about between the same make of units, especially I suppose some of the Chinese ones, incompatible encryption might depend on where they got their firmware from for that particular version. Not casting any aspersions on where they get it from, but it's not very well supported, which is why having the ability to do some testing beforehand could have been useful. Right, we'll try and see whether he's with us, otherwise we will call again. Mike 0 Oscar Echo Sierra. Mike 0 Oscar Echo Sierra. G4 NRC, over. Zero Oscar Echo Sierra, nothing heard, so showing he was out for the rest of the nets. So then it's to the 2 into 1 that caused 20 fingers to do all the wrong typing in the log. Ian or Chris or whoever on Mike 7 Charlie Bravo X-Ray from G4 and RC, over.
From G0 is a death. Woodbridge Tideman with we are actually more or less in and out, just taking down a special event station for Mills Day. So, very good afternoon to all and no further traffic. G4NRC, G0 knows it, okay.
G4NRC returning. Okay, that explains a bit. Some of those overs were 25%, or parts of that over, 25% packet loss with brakes, but if you're out in the wild, then that's understandable. Yes, I have noted, albeit our local radio club only declared they were doing a Mills on the air station as far as I could see the night before. So although there was a mill fairly close to me I could have gone to, it didn't quite work out that way with so little notice and so many other things to do. Hopefully you both had a good day. Propagation per the HF net was not wonderful earlier, but I was hearing some contacts being made on 40 metres at least, so hopefully it was a good one. 7-3s to you both, and next to Andy, Golf Whiskey 0, Juliet Lima X-Ray, G4 and RC, over.
G4NRC, GW0JLX. Thank you, Greg. Right, I've got an event on the Saturday the 17th and Sunday the 18th of June, where RAYNET are providing safety radio for anything up to a couple of thousand cyclists who are taking part in a variety of off-road type forest track stuff and time trials around the Clanbran Reservoir area. Day 1 is 65 kilometres, day 2 is 53 kilometres respectively, but the terrain challenges are really significant. So what I'm looking for is either individuals or a group or number of groups who can come and help out. The control station is going to be located in a place called Fundeermine in Carmarthenshire. And we are looking for people who have got NVIS as well as 2 meters, because we're going to try and establish a net on both. I think the NVIS is going to be really, really useful because of the terrain. It's incredibly hilly around there, and it's really, really steep, so I think it's going to be absolutely ideal. So if anybody can help, please contact me. There will be a note going out in the newsletter on the 26th of this month. But really would appreciate early doors if anybody can get in contact. Either use my RAYNET email address, or they can give me a call. The number is on the diary as well. Many thanks indeed for that. I don't have anything further, so with that I shall sign and go clear. Thank you very much indeed, Greg. Over.
GW0JLX, G4NRC. Okay, that's really good. Accepting HF and VIS as well as 2 meters. Andy, could you post that in advance of the newsletter to the RAYNET HF list as well, since I know you're there, just to get at the community that's most likely to be of interest, or at least you want to stay clear of the frequencies in use at the time. And I'm just wondering what might be schemed for me on that day. We'll see. I'm being told I'm going away, etc. So I can't remember what date that is and whether that overlaps. So, yes, please do put that on the HF list. Look forward to seeing it in the newsletter coming forward. So, thanks for that. Next and last on the list, it's Tony, Golf 1, Romeo Bravo Oscar, G4 and RC.
Yeah, good afternoon, people. G1RVO. And, what can I say? Well, apologies about mucking up the other group on WhatsApp. I thought I was changing settings for me, but I wasn't. I was changing the settings for the group, which didn't go down well. But there you go. Live and learn. I was, doing that. Radio Eyes, still getting set up, still doing things. Nothing to add in particular, just trying to keep in contact with people as I'm kind of so far away. Just, so that's it really. Back to you then, G4NRC, G1RBO.
G1RBO, G4NRC, returning. No problem, Tony. Always good to maintain contact. It's one of the benefits of this net. We've got, 18 check-ins today. Pretty much 1% of the RAYNET membership. Just missing our Scots contingent that used to check in more often at the moment. But, it's a good way of getting the information out and making sure everything works. So, no problem. And we'll come back to you at the back end of the next round, which will be considerably shorter because of the number of stations who've called out. So, back to the top of my list, Mike, Golf 8, Echo Yankee. Anything further from G4 and RC?
G4NRC from G8EY. No, nothing much further. I've had a look at a few links from the RTX website, and I've ended up in 403 errors and not allowed. So I just have to look at it more closely. Interestingly, I was looking at the Anytone section. That doesn't seem to be mentioned, and I noticed that the Silence HD1 is listed, but looking at the possibilities, there's an awful lot of red crosses there. So maybe I've gone for the wrong types of radios. Oh dear, I have to buy one of everything these days. So 72s for now from G8EEY.
Golf 8 Echo Yankee, G4 and RC. Well, it's in its youth and it will grow. I'm trying to recall, there's a Linux DMR programming package called QDMR, which means you don't have to try and run Windows to run the appropriate programming stuff for your radios. But unfortunately, it doesn't cover everything. The author's quite happy to add radios into the system as long as you send him one, so he can play with it. I'm presuming you get them back, but it does slow down development because people don't have the money to spend on buying one of everything. Anyway, at least I got you looking. Okay, 7-3 to you. Graham G798 next to you, and we do need to have a chat about Chester Half Marathon, as we know. I just need to plug a headset microphone in. We may as well stay in the same room that we use for live streaming the net. So we can carry on that one if that's okay with you. G798, G4 and RC, over.
G4 and RC, G7. Yeah, that's fine, Greg, no problem at all. As soon as we stop streaming, I'll fire up Gypsy in the web browser. So, yeah, that's no problem. I've been set up, microphone and speakers, so we should be okay. Nothing else to add from this end, so thanks for doing the net, and we'll catch you all next week, because unlike Greg, I definitely will be home to do the streaming. G4LRC, G7AH.
4 and RC, yeah, when we're actually discussing who's sat where, you've been optimistic, but yes, you probably will be back long before me. That's the way it works as we chase the last few over the last 3 miles. It's just me and a cyclist on the field. Okay, thanks Graham, talk to you in a few minutes. Trevor G4KUJ, I will drop you a WhatsApp message when I've picked up the Pactor traffic from you. G4KUJ, G4 NRC, over. G4KUJ, G4KUJ, G4 and RC, over.
KUJ now via YSF. And someone else has just popped up on the bridge. You copying, Greg? G4KUJ.
G4KUJ, G4 and RC, yes, I got your audio, but an American call sign attached to it because it came over the YSF DMR bridge, over.
Okay. No, I came in on direct to our server and I wasn't coming up on the dashboard. So I swapped over to the YSF route and I saw KN6, yes, pop up as well. Okay, Pactor system is up and running, and okay about the WhatsApp. When you picked up the traffic, that's good. Nothing further, I don't think. I did pop a email to you and Guy about write-up in QST of a Bluetooth steam mic that is compatible with a lot of the Anytone radios, and it was useful because it also included the problems that the guy had in pairing it with the radio, including the fact that you can only update the Bluetooth software in the Anytone radio by using an Android device, which is interesting. But the other thing that might make them rare is that they seem to cost £150 when a new radio costs about 180 or 190, so it's an expensive device. Anyway, that's all from me. As far as I'm aware, I think I should be around next week. G4 NRC, G4KUJ. Cheers, everyone.
Okay. Try Try again when the system's responsive. G4KUJ, G4NRC. You've reminded me, as you've seen me just type into the log, there was a discussion about microphones on the Ham Radio Workbench podcast, and it's within the last 2 issues, so it might even have been the last one. The Ham Radio Workbench podcast is not one for the faint-hearted. It's always generally around 2 hours long, can be 3 hours long at times. But the commentary was around how Bluetooth was not very good for radio use because of the poor latency. Any of the normal Bluetooth headsets and microphones were made for hi-fi audio or telephone conversations, where the rapid switching back and forth that we do was not possible with the codecs they were using for the Bluetooth audio devices. So it might be worth having a look at that as well, or seeing if there was any commentary about it being a bit slow to code up the audio as it went from the microphone to the radio and vice versa. Right, having then taken 3 hours out of everybody's time as they search for Ham Radio Workbench and listen through to them all. Next to Ian, and yes, we are in violent agreement, Ian, about how difficult it is to get encryption sorted. Golf 3 Zulu Hotel X-Ray, G4 and RC, over.
G4 NRC, this is G3 ZHX. Yes, you wouldn't believe how difficult it was just to have the meetings. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, I should have been on deployment today, and it's a pity. It's a lovely day outside, and here we are inside talking. I suppose I could have done this outside. Anyway, no, I don't think I've got anything else to add. I did find OpenRTX, and it does include this radio I'm using here, so if you never hear me again, I've loaded the software and it doesn't work. So with that, I shall say cheerio, thanks for running the net, and 73. I should be on next week, but I'm going to a rally, so it's just possible I might not make it back. G3 ZHX.
Hotel X-Ray. Golf 3 Zulu Hotel X-Ray, as if proving my own latency points. I push and it takes a while for the system to respond. It's D4 and RC returning. Okay, well, yeah, tread bravely if you wish to put OpenRTX on, read all the reviews beforehand. Well, if you do try it, let me know. I will have to root out the RD, ADM, whatever it is, 1801 that I've got, which is supported, and see whether or not I can swing it from OpenGD77's OpenRTX. OpenRTX does seem to have fewer functions than GD77, but not many of them were supported on that particularly cheap radio. So its original intent of using it for a high-powered hotspot never quite came to be. Okay, have a good week. Don't spend too much at the rally. Now, in the hope that he may have had his phone call from the hospital, or he might not answer, Mike 0, Juliet Sierra Alpha, G4 and RC, over.
TM0 JSO returning, yes, I've received the film, but I haven't rung me yet. So that's fine, I'll be brief. I was actually at the meal with Ian and Chris today. Richard, our Deputy Group Controller, so I had the Group Controller, the Deputy Group Controller and the Treasurer of RAYNET assisting me with the FDR's Pheonix DMR Amateur Radio Society Meals Day. And that went really well. There's a lot of people in the meal. 40 metres was a bit long in the morning. That was out Ireland way. But as the day progressed, it did move progressively east. So as the conditions changed. 20 metres went the opposite way. That was working way down into Bulgaria and Serbia and that way on a vertical low bar. But then it just dropped off completely. So yeah, as the day progressed, the sun came out and the bands died. But that was a good day. I left Ian and Paul clear of that and rushed home to do the net, and they obviously tried to do it from the car. So best 73 tunes until next week. So I'll just confirm next Sunday if I'm available. I should be. I'll drop you an email, Greg. Until the next time, MZ JSA back to G4 and I'll see you.
0 ASA, G4 NRC returning. Okay, yes, well, we had the RAYNET HF team net this afternoon. 40 metres, having looked at the conditions beforehand, 40 metres looked like the best one, but it wasn't really good enough for voice, and the transition to data mode's going a bit wrong. So some went down to 60 metres, which was as bad as expected. So I've still got to do the post-match report for that. So we could have worked on 40 metres, but it wouldn't have been readily with voice at our usual power levels. So this is the nature of propagation. We just have to learn to love it. Okay, a final comment from Tony, who's the last one on the list, and then I'll pull the net. So anything final from you, Tony? Golf 1, Romeo Bravo Oscar, G4 and RC, over.
G4 and RC, G1 RBO. Question, is there any sort of social gatherings where you all meet up so I can actually meet people face to face? Because obviously being this far out, I don't really get to meet anybody in a social sort of way, so I just want sort of include me and so people actually get to see me. G1 RBO.
G4 and RC returning to G1 RBO. Okay, let's see now. Down to your local RAYNET groups, mostly for socials. So some groups are very, very active, if you like, on having face-to-face gatherings and getting people together. Nationally, the only main get-together, still trying to find its feet after COVID, will be the National AGM, which occurs in October. Other than that, it's wherever RAYNET stands may be. So, I have to work off the top of my head. So usually there's a RAYNET stand at the Blackpool rally. There will be one at the National RSGB National Convention this year. So it's one to start with your local group, I'm afraid, Tony, and see if they have anything where you could get people to. But each RAYNET group sets itself up in the way that suits them. And so for our West Cheshire group, there aren't very many face-to-faces because we used to do quite a lot of events. Whereas other groups are much more like radio clubs and meet every week, even if they only have 1 or 2 events a year. So it's a real mix. But local group first, see if they have any meetings. Failing that, it will be ask here and see if we know whether there's anybody going to be at any rallies where there'll be a get-together. I would have said the National Hamfest, but that is cancelled this year. As I realised when I got some time back in my diary. I'll just come back to you on that one with a fight for see if that's a starter for you before I close the net. G1 RBO, G4 and RC, over.
Right, well, you answered it all in one question because I assumed this was the Essex RAYNET meeting on this line, but on this frequency, but it's not. So it's my fault. But never mind. Pleased to meet everybody. Yes, I am a member of RAYNET, and yeah, I'm the Essex. That's kind of why my comments and everything were a bit weird to everybody. So my apologies. But anyway, glad to meet a few other people around the country. But yeah, it is. I'm in Essex. I'm stuck in Saffron Walden, and everybody else is sort of based and more around Colchester way. So it's a bit of a thing. That was why the question was. So forgive me for confusing the hell out of you there. But great answer, and yeah, still got some great ideas there. So yeah, okay, I'll love you and leave it. G1 RBO out.
G1 RBO, G4 and RC returning. Yep, no, this is the national RAYNET DMR nets. You do hear the Essex, does Essex come here? There are other groups who use the 23531 talk group on other evenings, and those connected to the private server, as I saw the private server, must have stopped calling that. Those connected to the RAYNET server noticed that Lancashire members had a bit of a get-together on their dedicated Lancashire talk group this morning. So there's more than just this talk group on the RAYNET-UK server. There are group-level ones as well. But this being the main national calling talk group is where the net's been held here for, let's say, years now. Okay, no problem, Terry. Still a valid question because it highlights how different we are across the country. So let's close it up just under the hour, which is good. So thanks everybody for taking time out of your schedules to participate this afternoon. Be careful, have a good week, and until next Sunday afternoon at 1600 hours local time, I'll now close the RAYNET-UK weekly activity net and return the talk groups to being an open net rather than a directed net. Sentries all, this is G4NRC now closing and reverting to my normal call sign of 0 Delta.